Now, Megan Bayne got the win here. There are two more matches which are taking place on Saturday's Collision. I will say this, Jesse. You know, Mercedes and Statlander were late additions to Blood and Guts. Otherwise, it would have been a 5-on-5. So Tony is breaking the rules of the traditional 5-on-5 here and adding Mercedes and Statlander in this Blood and Guts match, which I honestly think is a terrible decision. And we talked about this on Tuesday Night Titans last night. Now, I know why Tony Khan wanted to add Mercedes and Statlander. It gives the match a little bit more star power. But when I look at it, and I'm speaking very, very genuinely here because you and I have covered AEW for over 6 years here. You look at all of the other moments that this women's division has made in the past 6 years. You look at that Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa match at Daly's Place that kind of kickstarted the women's revolution there in AEW and really got women's wrestling on the map in AEW for the performance that both of those ladies put on. You want to run that back inside the steel cage. It was Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa winning it in Texas, winning the championship for Britt Baker. That steel cage match was great. Obviously, the Mariah and Toni Storm story and the feud that culminated with the Hollywood ending match. You know, there's a lot of great moments. I didn't even go back to Stat and Willow at All Out last year. I thought that was a tremendous match, that street fight that they had. There were moments where these women stood on their own and made themselves into stars based on their in-ring performances and the performances that they put on in that ring. I don't think Mercedes and Stat need to be in this Blood and Guts match because it certainly makes it star-studded, but at the same time, it feels incredibly forced. Mercedes has nothing to do with these women at all. She's been doing her own thing. She's been burying most of the division. She's won 13 fucking titles on her way to a 14th championship and more than likely a 15th at Full Gear. What does she have to do with any of these women outside of Stat who she's wrestling at the pay-per-view? Focus on that one-on-one match without putting them in a Blood and Guts match to add to the build for the women's championship. It's not needed. The only other woman she has history with in that match are Willow and Toni Storm. Willow last year, and Toni Storm, she wrestled it all in this year. Mercedes' inclusion is very, very forced. And honestly, it takes away from all the other women that should be spotlighted in this match. And now we're going to be focused on Toni and Mercedes and Statlander. Why? These women are on a different level. The women that were originally building to this match, the Jamie Hayters and the Harley Camerons and the Willows and the Megan Baynes and the Penelope Fords and the TJs, the Queen Aminatas, the Teklas, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, they're going to be overshadowed by Mercedes, Toni, and Statlander because they are not as big of names as those three women are. And I feel like in that Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match that I mentioned before, they made their stamp on women's wrestling in AEW because they went all out. You don't think these women would have loved an opportunity to go all out, bro, and make themselves into fucking household names with a performance in a match that basically warrants and invites a huge spotlight just by the fucking match itself? Why do we need Mercedes in there to take away from that? Why do we need Toni Storm in there to take away from that? Why do we need Statlander to take away from that? And this is the discussion that we had last night. Everything feels incredibly fucking put together at the last minute. None of these matches, and I'm talking about AEW and WWE, none of these War Games matches that we're going to see over the course of the next 3 weeks should really be. I honestly don't feel any emotional investment. I don't feel any long-term commitment. I don't see any long-term story here outside of Darby and Jon Moxley, and they even put them on fucking teams that don't even really need to be inside these War Games matches. Everything feels so haphazardly and last minute put together, bro. And honestly, these matches this year don't need to be. Vince did it with Hell in a Cell. They're doing it just because they sell tickets. And if you look at the fucking ticket advances, bro, for this show in North Carolina next year, I remember Blood and Guts, bro, doing 12,000, 13,000 people in arenas. They don't even have 4,000 tickets out the door for this fucking show. So what point, what's the sense? Like, they're trying to make something happen, and it's just not there, and everything just is so lazily put together. I don't think Mercedes, Stat, or Toni Storm belong in this match, and I honestly feel for those women that have been dying for an opportunity and are not going to get it because they're once again going to be outshadowed and fucking spotlight taken away from them by Mercedes and Toni Storm.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I'm just not invested at all. Excuse me, into this blood and guts situation on any side. I mean, it's just a match to be done because it's time for it to be done. I mean, I this used to be one of the highlights of the year for me for AEW. And now it's just something they're just throwing together. And the more they throw someone in it, the less meaningful it is. So it's actually bringing it down the more people you add to it, especially when they have no business being there. So I can't disagree with you on any of that shit, man. They need to do a way better job at pushing this. This needs to be a huge thing for them every year. I mean, almost like kind of like their Royal Rumble. I know that's their Casino Battle Royal type deal, but it's something that needs to be a staple for them. It needs to be important. If they don't make it important, it's just not going to be important because it's happening. It doesn't work like that for this situation, and I'm not excited about it, and I want to be. I don't know why they're doing it.
They have forced 4 different War Games matches this year. And listen, the vision and a collection of baby faces were always going to end up in War Games. We saw where that was going literally after WrestleMania. Like, everybody kind of seen where the direction was going. It's the only thing that really matters there is that feud going into War Games. But even that, they rely, both of these guys, Triple H and Tony Khan, they rely so heavily on faction warfare. Like, they try so desperately to make faction warfare happen. And none of it really happens organically. None of it really happens in a traditional sense. It just feels so forced and put together in a forced way that the War Games matches end up feeling that same way. And it's almost like, do these really need to happen this year? Like, stop trying to make it happen and let it happen organically. Like, don't try and force baby faces and heels together just so that you could get this match off this year. If there's a year where you don't need it and you don't need to do it, then don't do it. You're going into the Greensboro Coliseum next week. This is where Sting retired in front of 18,000 fucking people. You don't look at the ticket advances for this show, less than 4,000 people, and find yourself concerned about that? For 2 fucking War Games matches in a territory that is fucking born and raised on this type of thing. 4,000 tickets out the door for this show. Last time we're there, Sting retired in front of 18,000 people. You don't find that to be a fucking problem? What are we doing? If the fans are not coming out to your version of War Games, then the fans are telling you that we're tired of this shit and none of it fucking matters. So make it matter. How do you do that? By putting people together that have actual organic fucking tension and an organic feud, and it results in a War Games. Yet you're just devaluing the gimmick because you got to give one to the men and one to the women, and we got to have equal rights for the women, so let's do it. And now it's 6-on-6 for the women, so you're breaking the rules there traditionally, and you're only adding Mercedes and Stat because Mercedes probably went to Tony and wants to be a part of the first ever women's War Games match because she's fucking selfish. And by default, Tony needed to add Stat in that to make it even. I know I'm right on that because that's exactly who she is. You think Mercedes was going to let this one go without being in this match? First ever? Come on, man. Come on. It's fucking ridiculous. I do not like any of this, bro. I don't. This match should be focused on Willow, Megan Bayne, Penelope Ford before she got hurt, fucking Harley Cameron, the Triangle of Madness, Tekla, Queen Aminata. Jesse said at the beginning of the show she's hurt. I didn't know that. She should be spotlighted there. The women that have been on the back burner because AEW's pushed Toni Storm and Mercedes all year and fed literally the entire division to them. Anna Jay and Tay Mello. Where are they at? Weren't they on Collision for 3 fucking months wrestling all these random 8-woman tag team matches? Why aren't they in the fucking match? Don't you think they want to be spotlighted?
What happened to Deanna Purrazzo?
Where's Thunder Rosa?
Where's Thunder Rosa? Where?
I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand the decision-making in this company. Just more greed. The rich get richer. The greedy get greedier. Mercedes doesn't need to be there. She asked Tony to be there, and that's why she's in there. So Tony had to add Statlander to make the fucking teams 5-on-5 originally, now 6-on-6 because Mercedes wanted to be a part of it. You know I'm right. Fucking ridiculous.
Somebody says Thunder Rosa is hurt.
Is she? Yeah, I highly doubt that.
Hurt doing what?
She hurt herself putting on her fucking lingerie while she cooks in the kitchen for YouTube. That's what she got hurt, right?
Did she slip on her makeup? What the
fuck out?
And where's Alex Windsor? That's right.
Oh, she was a flavor of the month 3 months ago, bro. That's it. You're never gonna see her again.
Is she at home? I mean, what is she doing? She had to go home because Ospreay went home.
I don't know.
She was front and center every show. Now she's gone, but no explanation.
Unbelievable. So they're giving opportunity to everybody else. They give it right to the Mercedes and Tony Storm.